And we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog here, back with Aaron the Dog MMA channel. And I am back as usual with my UFC breakdown host. I'm not going to say the rest, but he's on the Ultimate Fighter right now. Still on the Ultimate Fighter, repping the Team Volkanovski gear, as always. Bryan Pooh Bear Battle, also known as Pooh Bear. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me as always. I'm ready to break down some fights. Yeah, if you haven't been watching The Ultimate Fighter, catch up on the past 3 episodes, and then every Tuesday at 9:00, catch your boy Pooh Bear. Great commentary. I've had some great confessionals. I haven't fought yet, but my confessionals.
No, you're 3 for 3 on Pooh Bear laughs. So we've gotten a Pooh Bear laugh each episode. We have confirmed it's not Trayshawn who has the Pooh Bear laugh. It is only Pooh Bear. Ryder does not laugh that way.
No, it is one and only. It's an exclusive laugh. I need to trademark it.
Yeah, and the other part, I don't know if you've noticed, but I know I've noticed with like the little silhouette of the Ultimate Fighter now. It's very obvious who you are in the silhouette.
Oh man, dude! I tell you, when we were on the show and we were watching some of the UFC fights, because they've always had those silhouettes, and I didn't know if they just use random people or not. But that popped up, and I was like, "That's me!"
Yeah, that's like it's just like people definitely, I think are gonna like you even more once they get to watch you fight. And you're not commenting on that, obviously. That's me. Just based on what I've seen, which it's all out there already. Go on YouTube, type in Bryan Battle. The secret's out already. I mean,
all like 12 fights that are on YouTube.
Yeah, long fights too, because you weren't finishing people. But that started to change. Just ask Ben Fowler. Is it Ben Fowler? I forgot his name. Bryan Fowler. Ben Fowler. I got it. There you go. Shout out to Ben Fowler. Good dude. Yeah, absolutely. We're here to break down UFC. As you can see, UFC Vegas 29. That is the Korean Zombie versus Dan Ige. 5 rounds at the 145 division. Kind of a sneaky, important fight for sure. I mean, atop the division, but it's a 12-fight card. There's some interesting matchups here, but just off the bat, I don't see as many upsets or potential upsets. We did both hit the McKinney dog last week. It took a whole 7 seconds for us to be right. Hopefully he's all right, by the way. But Terrence McKinney will be joining us next week on the breakdown. So looking forward to having a chat with Terrence next week. Last night on the PFL breakdown, which we're currently killing, me and Brandon, we're killing it on there. We hit Sabu Sai for an opening underdog. We both hit Corey Hendricks at plus 275 underdog. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel and checking out our other breakdowns, like you are missing out. We're the only ones doing these full PFL breakdowns because of how late the odds come out. But I don't care. It's paying off. We hit a plus 275, a plus 140. I mean, these aren't really numbers you're hitting in the UFC as easily. So the money's all green. It all counts the same. We got to be joined by Josh Parisian on the show last night. So he's on the card tonight facing Roque Martinez at a really good price, too, because of a kind of disappointing first fight. Although, we'll get into that more. But Josh Parisian, Michigan MMA product. I'm obviously repping Michigan always. So, it was good to have him in here. He looked like he was in good spirits. He came on as he was cutting weight. So I just got to think that, and look completely healthy. Definitely looking forward to talking about his fight here and, jumping into the card. But I don't know about you. I'm ready to go. How about you?
Dude, I'm ready to get it. Let's get after it, man. This is going to be – it is an interesting card. I'm looking forward to the main event.
Yeah, I mean, every card – I'm never going to not say a card's interesting. So, that's a little redundant. But definitely the main event, very important and going to be fireworks for however long it lasts. We got Alexei Oleinik in the co-main event. I'm always going to be an Oleinik fan. And this first fight of the night, definitely one of my favorites of the entire night because King Casey O'Neill, I interviewed King Casey O'Neill. She was, I believe, my third interview ever back when I was still on Fight Bananas, which, I'm not saying I'm off Fight Bananas, but right now their videos are off, so I'm going to keep going. But I reached out to King Casey O'Neill. Before she was in the UFC, she was 3-0 at the time. But she's 23 years old, 5'6", 70-inch reach, fighting out of Extreme Couture. But I kind of discovered her as she was training out of Tiger Muay Thai, which she was just this savage you would see in the back wrestling and just throwing girls against the cage. Over and over again, you'd see this girl. And I was like, all right, eventually she got tagged. I followed her and I looked up her fights. This girl is an absolute savage. First of all, started off her career at, I believe, in 2014. She's 23 years old. So in 2014, she started as a 15-year-old as an amateur. And she got knocked out in her first 2 fights in under 90 seconds as a 15 and 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Did she stop? No. She took like a year off, came back as an 18-year-old, got an armbar, immediately started getting stoppages. Armbar, corner stoppage, punches, rear naked choke. Then she went pro in 2019. This girl, she just gets in there and I'll say this much, her head movement needs to improve because she takes a lot of shots, even in her UFC debut against Shayna Dobson. Took a lot of punishment. However, she took the punishment of Shayna Dobson, and I mean, Shayna Dobson's no joke on the feet. No joke anywhere. She's fighting out of elevation now, and I mean, Casey took her right to the ground and started beating her up, doing what she's been doing her last few fights. And her last 2 fights actually have ended very similarly, where she's gotten into top control, started landing hammer fists, and had to tell the referee, this fight is over. And then the referee is like, you're actually right. This fight is over. It's not one of these like where it's pitter-patter punches and it's like she's trying to talk her way out of it. Yeah. She is, Mark Hunt was the king of the walk-off KO. She's the king of the talk-off KO. And, and it is in the best way possible. I mean that. But in this fight, she's facing a really well-rounded, I believe, Mexican fighter in Laura Procopio, or Brazilian. I apologize, Brazilian fighter in Procopio. I guess I said Mexican because she kind of does fight that Mexican style. Like she gets right in your face, and she's dirty with her boxing. I mean, she really is. Mixes in the takedowns really well as well. Yeah, I have no hate here. It's 25-year-old. This is a 23-year-old. So we definitely have 2 up-and-comers in this weight class. Procopio came in on short notice against Carol Rosa and fought to a fight of the night. Fantastic fight, and that was also, that was at bantamweight as well, and she fought to a split. She's clearly oversized in that matchup, and so props to her. I think this is going to be a really good matchup, but I can't help it, man. I got my dog here. It is King Casey O'Neill. I just think that overall the size and the strength in the grappling scenarios against the cage, the takedowns, they're going to be there. I think on the feet, it's very close. I'd slightly edge to Laura, although I think that Casey is constantly improving on the feet. But I've been following Casey closely. I know she's extremely focused for this fight. Extreme Couture, great camp. I did also take a look at the odds, and I was shocked because I was expecting Casey to be maybe even money, maybe a very slight dog, but she's a good size plus 130 dog, shifting a little bit towards plus 140. I love it. I'm all over this. I think that Casey O'Neill is going to go in there and make a statement. I could see her possibly getting another finish, a finish of Laura Procopio, which would be very impressive to me. But regardless, I got King Casey O'Neill with the win here and my first dog of the night.
Well, and I mean, just kind of what you said earlier, like if you look at Casey's camp, like holy cow, man! I mean, those are some outstanding camps that she's a part of. Like Tiger Muay Thai, that's world class camp. Extreme Couture has some great people. You know what I mean? And She is this feels like a fun fight because it's more of like an exciting prospect in Casey versus a little bit. I mean, it's 7-1 versus 6-0, but
It's 25 and 23 too. I know Laura Procopio looks like she's about 36, but she's only 25 according to her birth certificate.
Well, and is like they look like they're fighting in different weight classes. And
right?
Not taking anything at all away from Dagum Laura. Like she's a gamer. Like she comes to fight. She's 7-1 for a reason.
Yep.
But I think especially in some of these female fights, when you step up and you're facing athletic chicks who are kind of as skilled as you. We'll see how Laura does with Casey. I think just from what I've seen, I think Casey is going to have the edge in this one too. Personally, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that she's the underdog, but I think Casey. I don't know if she finishes her because Laura, she seems to be pretty.
She's tough.
She's tough, you know what I'm saying? She's gone to a lot of decisions. She's pretty good on the ground too. I can see her getting beat up a little bit. I mean, if she finishes Laura, that'd be a pretty impressive win in the flyweight division. And as shallow as it is, that could really do a lot for her. I mean, she'd probably get like a real flyweight after this if she got the finish in this one.
Yeah. So your pick?
I'm taking Casey. I'm taking Casey by decision.
And we're agreeing on the dog. What up, Alec? Alec is joining us. Said what up to brother Aaron and brother Brian. Of course, Bunny is in here. Welcoming back Brian to the show. Bunny, always the third official co-host of this show, and she can join us at any point, as she knows. But she puts in a lot of time and effort when she comes on, so we get it. And, of course, we're looking great. I mean, what do you expect? You're looking great, too.
I woke up like this. We woke up like this.
We definitely both woke up like this. There's no effort going on there.
110%.
Yo, we are all natural. But whoever comes out of this matchup seriously is on their way to the top 15 and certainly big things in the flyweight division at 25 or 23. King Casey O'Neill, though, I'm going to be riding with her in so many fights. And you make a really great point because, Casey O'Neill, she started at strawweight. She's getting bigger. She's moving up to flyweight. She'll eventually be a bantamweight, in my opinion, later in her career. Laura Procopio is a flyweight, and she's a flyweight all the way. She's 5'4". There's a reach advantage on Casey's side. I think there's a power advantage majorly on Casey's side, and in the grappling, I think that's just hugely important, especially in the female division. Bunny saying the thing that we're all thinking. Brian's face looks untouched, so there's no NDA on scar tissue on a face after 5 weeks and possibly 2 fights. But either you got medically uncleared and you're not telling me something, or things went okay. Anyways,
I just stay pretty. That's all I'm gonna say. I stay pretty.
That's right. It's just you got that tomorrow people skin. It just it's got that it's able to just it's what I wish I had, but I'm just a plain old white dude, so I bruise like a peach. Like I walked into a door handle the other day, and I still have like a big old weld on the side of my body, and I'm watching these dudes tonight getting body kicked over and over again, and I'm just like, I was not made to be a fighter. I was made to talk about fights.
I know you're in Michigan, and I'm sure summertime you get a lot of sun, but it's still you got to put your hours in out by the pool on the
I work outside.
The tanning chair, you got to work outside with no shirt on or something. You know what I'm
saying?
Oh yeah,
that's yeah. This is the difference between me and Pooh Bear. I work with my shirt on at all points. Next fight here. These guys don't need shirts on. They're fighting at the lightweight division, 155. We got Joaquim Silva taking on Ricky Glenn. This is, and it is now known as Ricky Glenn, not Rick Glenn. He's been off for a few years. He's like a plumber in Iowa now. The reason he didn't want to go by Ricky before now was that his dad growing up dated some girl named Ricky. So he felt he couldn't go as Ricky. But now he's a man. He's 33, and damn it, he'll go by his old dad's girlfriend's name of Ricky. So that's the backstory behind why he's now Ricky Glenn. He's a gladiator. Yeah, good for him. No judgment here. No judgment here on Aaron the Dog MMA show.
I am proud that he was able to reclaim that name from his dad's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, that's huge for any 32-year-old. Fighting Marshalltown, Iowa. He is fighting on Pure Vita BJJ and MMA in Iowa. Pretty much runs his own camp at this point. Used to train out in Vegas, but has been off for a few years. Has been off since he faced Kevin Aguilar back in November of 2018. So that's quite the layoff. That's nearly 3 years off, 2.5 years off. He was scheduled to come back against Carlton Minus, and he got the vid, and that's not good. It is not good when you get COVID. I've been very cautious on betting fighters coming off of COVID. I've seen a lot of very flat performances in a lot of different organizations, including at the UFC. That's the highest level. And a guy who was off for 3 years, if you're pulling out of a fight with Carlton Minus, that's your best chance in the UFC for a win ever. Okay? You let the golden goose get away from you of a Carlton Minus win because he's out of the UFC and he's never coming back. He went back to Alaska FC and he's never leaving there because that dude is not UFC caliber, I'll say.
AFC is a trap.
I mean, you get someone like Euros Medic also, so you will get some savages out of there.
That's true. That's fair. That's fair.
But you'll get more Carlton Minuses. I'll stand by that for sure. But Ricky Glenn, he's had an interesting UFC run. Lost to Evan Dunham in his debut back in 2016. Rattled off a couple wins. One over Felipe Nover, which is what it is, not a great win. The Gavin Tucker win, I don't know if you remember that, but he beat Gavin Tucker pillar to post for 3 rounds, got a 30-24 on all 3 scorecards. That is 3-10-8 rounds for the math disadvantage out there. That is
impressive.
I thought he killed that man.
I mean, to think that a fight that was that lopsided even got to decision is
which does kind of concern me about Ricky Glenn, especially because that was at 145 and he couldn't get the KO. He's now moved up to 155 here. Hasn't fought at 155, so he was a very lengthy, long featherweight, and now he's got to kind of deal with not being the biggest guy, fighting at 155. Sure, he was already durable at 45, but had a split decision of Dennis Bermudez. Dennis Bermudez ended up retiring pretty soon after that. Then had a loss to Kevin Aguilar. Kevin Aguilar no longer in the UFC. Lost to Miles Jury. Miles Jury no longer in the UFC. So there's just a little bit of some unknowns here with Ricky Glenn. Then he's been off for 2.5 years. And he's moving up in weight. He's taking on the Brazilian Neto BJJ Joaquin Silva. He's one of these guys with BJJ in his name, but for the most part, he stands and just bangs. He hasn't used that jiu-jitsu so far in the UFC that I've really seen. Uses some defensive wrestling. He's a big bopper for sure. One of my favorite fights of his was definitely his Jared Gordon fight. Came back after splitting the first 2 rounds and getting the really possibly being down in the first 2 rounds, but definitely at best splitting the first 2 rounds, getting the finish in the third over Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon, I think, is a guy who I think can kind of replicate a lot of the type of looks and issues Ricky Glenn would give him. I really wanted to go with the dog Rick here, but I'm going to go with Silva. Silva also has been off since August of 2019, so it's been off a while too, but it's not 2.5 years, and he's not running his own camp in Iowa, coming off of COVID. It's too many bugaboos here for me. I'm going to take Joaquin Silva, not betting it heavy though. -130 favorite to the +110 Rick Glenn. I could definitely see this being a complete pick 'em.
No, I mean, because both these guys are kind of stand-up fighters, and they both kind of have different approaches to striking. You know what I'm saying? Ricky's a little bit more technical, but it doesn't have that like same pop. You know what I'm saying? Where Joaquin, you know what I'm saying? He's a little bit more wild, a little bit more hands down, but you know he can turn your lights off with one shot. With that being said, I mean this was a tough one for me going for this one because I mean both of them. I mean Joaquin, he's only 11-2, but he's been in the UFC for a long time. You know, fellow tough veteran.
For sure.
So he's got some good experience. Ricky's also got some good experience. And I, you know, for me, this is like the first fight. I see it strongly going Casey's way. This fight, I could see it going either way. I'm not necessarily really confident in either one of these guys a ton yet. I'm going to go with Ricky.
Okay.
Ricky by decision.
Okay.
I think, and you know, once again, I could be totally wrong, but you know, and we'll see how the move up in weight affects them because, you know, with some guys they move up in weight and they say, you know, it's like I'm getting older, it's time for me to move up in weight, and then they just get absolutely smashed by someone who's actually, you know.
Yeah, Silva is definitely a lightweight.
He's been 100% a lightweight.
Yeah.
He's 100% a lightweight. I agree, and maybe Ricky he has more power without cutting weight. I don't know. That usually isn't the case, but I mean we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Joaquin Silva's losses are, you know, the two very good guys. Really, his last three losses, the Ultimate Fighter lost to Gleico Franca. He's been doing work on the regional scene in the PFL. Vince Rochelle, and then Nazar at Hat Press. So I really don't rate Ricky Glenn near those guys also.
That's fair. That's fair.
But if it's a real dirty fight, Ricky Glenn can definitely pull it out. I'm sure. I wonder if they'll tell the Ricky Glenn story on there or not. I really hope they go into that because that is the
what is the
story.
Ricky Glenn story?
Well, why he the Ricky story I told you at the beginning, why he chose to be referred to as Ricky.
Okay.
That's a true story. I heard it in an interview with with James Lynch, I believe, who James Lynch will be joining at some point. But next fight, it's really interesting. I not interesting actually. The prelims straight up may be more appealing to me than the main card again. Because next I got some invested interest, especially in this fight from a money standpoint and just a personal standpoint now. Josh Parisian taking on Roque Martinez. As I said earlier, Josh Parisian joined Brandon and I for a part of the PFL show yesterday as he's cutting weight. So shout out to him. He's fighting out of Brighton, Michigan. I am from Okemos, Michigan. We talked about that a little bit. I'm now in D.C., but I'm once a Michigander, always a Michigander. Yeah. So I love rooting for my Michigan folks. Last week, I know Jamal Hill didn't win. I'm aware Jamal Hill didn't win. People can stop letting me know that Jamal Hill didn't win. I know I picked Jamal Hill. I was there. I placed the bets on him. I saw his arm break and the ref just look at it and let it flop around. Like, what is – first of all, I get nervous when I look at a ref and I've never seen him before, right? Yeah. I'm like, oh, shit, I hope nothing goes wrong here. And then that happens. And I'm like, this –
dude, that was like hard to watch. His arm is flopping around. He's getting elbowed and hit. It's just like
he's trying to tap, but it couldn't move because it's not connected to the rest of his arm. And it was just like a dislocation. He's lucky it wasn't the same type of breaking that Jacare dealt with.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Jacare, that was a weird one, dude. That was a weird submission. That was a weird
snap. But that's basically what he did. He just got it higher on the elbow, so it dislocated as opposed to on the forearm like Jacare got. So anyways, this is a new Michigan MMA fight here against the Guam fighter and Roque Martinez, 15-7-2. Salty for the 5'10 heavyweight. He weighs in at 245, 35 years old. Roque is a wild man, though. Go and watch his fights. He's definitely wild, has had a rough go of it in the UFC so far, although his debut was against Alexander Romanov, which, I mean, that's rough. He made it 2 rounds, and this is just from Brandon. Definitely did see Craig and Hill partying together. That's what it's all about right there. Yeah, he talked about how he let fans kind of paint his image of his opponent as opposed to his actual opponent. So, I mean, lessons will be learned as he can heal up from his arm. But back to this one, Roque Martinez, Alexander Romanov just did what Romanov does against everybody but Juan Espino so far in his UFC career. Bowled over him, eventually got an arm triangle choke. The Dante Mays fight, Roque just seemed very hesitant. Seemed to have a lot of trouble with the length and the movement of Mays, and I think that is a lot of what Josh Parisian needs to look to replicate in this fight. Just overall, Roque, a wild guy though, is not being the best level of competition, being guys who are like 14-7, Sergio Mizuguchi, some guy named Hideki Sakine, 8-3 and 8-8. 11-10, 4-2. Jerome LeBanner, he got in a headlock. I mean,
Jerome LeBanner.
Yeah, that's a legend. But I mean, if you're gonna beat Jerome LeBanner, you get him in a headlock. I think that's how I beat Jerome LeBanner too.
Like a headlock. Don't tap out to a headlock, bro. Come on, man. You're a legend, dude. Like I've seen you get blasted with
hit
shots.
with the shins and you're a headlock. Didn't even let it go underneath the chin. Jadeep Singh, just not great levels of competition here for Roque Martinez. Beat Da-Un Jung, who's now a middleweight. And Josh Parisian, coming off a very, very disappointing UFC debut, if I'm being honest, for me, against Parker Porter. I was very confident in him. Coming off of 2 Dana White Contender Series wins, including a win in the first round to get into the UFC, was facing a short, stocky Parker Porter and let Parker Porter kind of walk him down after the first 2 minutes. Josh Parisian hurt him early, seemed to hit in a major adrenaline dump, which we actually talked about on the podcast yesterday. He talked about he never felt his legs were under him that entire fight. Felt like he never felt before a fight. Feels there was UFC jitters. So that is definitely one thing to consider. This is one thing I think people misunderstand about UFC jitters. A lot of times they think, okay, I had them once, they're done. I think there's fighters who have UFC jitters throughout their career.
Oh yeah.
That's where you see guys like Martin Day who are 0-4 in the UFC. Even when there's fights where Martin Day's last fight, he dropped his opponent. But there's just something about that ultra level that I'll never know. But I've been able to observe in enough fighters. So does Josh Parisian maybe have that issue? We definitely find out in this fight because he's facing another very stocky, short heavyweight in Roque Martinez. For Josh Parisian, before coming into the UFC, really did have a good run of it everywhere except the UFC. On the Contender Series, he got a spinning back fist of Greg Rebello. Very impressive finish of a 24-8 guy. Got him onto the Ultimate Fighter. However, on the Ultimate Fighter, he got knocked out by Michael Batista, who is a 41-year-old Olympic wrestler, not known for his hands for sure. And then Brett Martin, who is a guy who we're going to probably see in the UFC soon. He's on the heavyweight regional scene right now. Very good wrestler. Like, no shame there, but he got Kimura against him in very short time. And then, he went on a run, but it was against guys who were 4-11, 4-4, 3-1 even, 8-10. And then Chad Johnson was 6-1, but looked like he could have made light heavyweight. Definitely Brandon, shout out to Parisian for being a stud coming onto the show. That was a couple days ago, as in yesterday. That money line keeps going up for Parisian after that interview we did with him, by the way. So, maybe the secret's coming out. He did look extremely healthy as he was cutting weight. Seemed to really take the right lessons from the Parker Porter loss. Also, Parker Porter and him broke a UFC heavyweight record for most significant strikes landed on each other. So Parker Porter landed 136 significant strikes, while Parisian landed 114 significant strikes. I think if Parisian can replicate a number near that in this fight, I think he's comes out on a successful end. I think he's looking to get a finish and get that 50K, but this could be a real fight of the night. Roque is so damn tough. He reminds me of I don't know if you remember Cabbage from back in the day.
Absolutely.
That
Cabbage
toughness.
Cabrera.
Yeah, he's like the Guam Cabbage. Honestly.
Yeah. For real though.
takes those licks and keeps on ticking. And if he's able to walk him down like Parker Porter, another short heavyweight, did, and Parisian has similar types of issues, then it's Roque. But I've got Parisian here. I love the price on him, even though it is shifting. I got him at minus 130. I see it at minus 140 now. I like Parisian in this spot, and I like them to go to a decision, but I'd love to see a finish. It's just I'm giving Roque some serious credit here. He takes a lick and keeps on ticking, and I think Parisian's really focused on managing his gas tank after what happened last time.
And I'm going to give Chad Johnson a shout out real quick. I fought on a King of the Cage card with him when I was still an amateur. That dude is actually big as a truck.
Okay.
That guy is massive. But
my mistake.
No, it's one of those weird. It's one of those things where you see him in person, you're like, wow, you look bigger. Like, because he looks big because he's built or whatever. But you see him in person, you're like, oh wow, you're actually gigantic. He's one of those people where it looks different in person than on camera. I digress. Roque, he's tricky because he's someone, what is it, 5'10", 5'11". He's someone where, if he took a really serious diet, he probably could make light heavyweight though.
Yes.
Super tough.
But he's got great cardio, man. He does not get tired. That's the other thing, man. If this gets out of the first round and you're starting to see the body language signs and then we can get back to you. But if we're seeing hands on the hips, the double over the cage from Parisian, I will live bet Roque Martinez as an underdog because Parisian will probably win the first round and that number will shift a little bit. And so, yeah. And then Brandon, Brandon the Beast. It's Brian. I was reading his comment, but I got to introduce you to Hector Rodriguez. This is one of our newest commenters. He's been on all of the PFL and Bellator breakdowns. I think he meant Brian here instead of Brandon, unless he's talking to MMA wagers here. But I think he meant Brian the Beast. But Hector, good day.
Thank you for your comment, Hector. If it
Hector
was
Rodriguez is a legend.
Or about Brandon, Hector Rodriguez.
Brandon, Brian, Aaron. It's all love. It's all love.
It's all the love. It's all love, baby. But
yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. Like Josh Parisian, he's kind of your more like standard heavyweight, and I definitely want to take him, but even even in his fight where he got the spinning back fist, you know what I'm saying? He won, but it's like he wasn't dealing with pressure too well, you know what I'm saying? And people would put pressure on him. Like he's somewhere if you give him time, you let him do his thing, he's gonna do his thing. But if you put a lot of pressure on him, he has been shown to kind of like melt under that pressure. It might have a lot to do with those nerves. But I'm picking Parisian, but I can see why they matched them up. It's kind of a scary matchup, even though Roque doesn't have the best record in the world, and he's kind of a smaller heavyweight. He's still 244 pounds. That's a lot of weight thrown around. But this is a good matchup to see if Parisian has grown. You know what I'm saying? This is a good test to see if he's grown, where he is shown to be weaker in some areas. So I have Parisian. I will also take him by finish because this could go decision. This could go decision. But
I picked decision, and I'm going to be sweating it. Yeah, I'm going to be sweating it.
I'm going to go Parisian by finish. Yeah, I'm going Parisian by finish. I'll say.
You want to say it? I know you do. You want to say round one? Because you got to say it though.
If it's a heavyweight fight, I'm picking a first round finish. That's it.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying, period.
I like it.
First round finish. That's what
I don't hate it at all. In the way that the 5'10" heavyweight wins a fight is by pressuring though.
Yes, so, 110%.
This is if he does not fight well on his back foot, or if that really messes with his gas tank or his head or both, we might be seeing another kind of issue again. And the other thing is that if Parisian wins this fight, they're going to match him up against someone like Carlos Felipe next, and that's going to be a nightmare for him.
Yeah.
Because Felipe is going to be in his face with punches. I just see a lot of problems for Parisian. I'd love to see a decision to see if he's corrected some of these issues from that previous fight.
That'd be a big thing, because right now, kind of like you said, going off of his last fights, I mean, Felipe isn't the scariest heavyweight in the division, but he is just like a nightmare. He's
that type of matchup would be really difficult for him for sure. But super excited. Like I said, minus 140 now, plus 110 on Roque Martinez. Really good fight though. Next fight, also a really good fight. In the 170 division, we got Matt Semelsberger, one of the recipients of a Carlton Minus lottery ticket in the UFC at 8-2, taking on Chaos Williams, the 11-2 product out of Jackson, Michigan, another Michigander here, the Ox fighter. I know all about Jackson, Michigan. Chaos Williams definitely earned his keep on the Michigan regional scene. Still fighting on Murcielago MMA in Detroit, Michigan. Coming off a close loss to Michel Pereira. Definitely a really good fight, though. After the first two fights of his UFC career, he'd had both those end in 30 seconds or less, though, against Alex Morono and Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Knocked them both out stiff. And then Michel Pereira was able to kind of exploit a little bit of the takedowns, a little bit of the grappling. We started to see a little bit of issues from Chaos in the movement and just overall technician. Chaos Williams, welterweight version of Terrence McKinney, maybe. I just think Terrence McKinney can actually wrestle. So I'm not sure if Chaos Williams can do that. And the other thing about Chaos Williams is that we look at who he faced leading up to the UFC. 3-2 JP St. Louis, who I actually have heard of, but he finished him in a minute. So newsflash, he's got power. Beat a 7-7 guy, a 17-9 guy, 19 guy, 6-5 guy, an 8-10 guy, 10-3 Jeremy Holloway over in WXC to get into the UFC, and then Alex Morono and Abdul Razak Al Hassan, we kind of see fall apart a little bit. Alex Morono, good win, very, very, very tough guy and impressive to put him away in 30 seconds for sure. But just not quite sure yet what to completely think about Chaos Williams' level. 6 foot, 77-inch reach. He's going to be the shorter guy here. Against Semelsberger, known as the Jedi. But he will have the reach advantage, 75-inch to 77-inch. Matt Semelsberger training at Clinch Academy. And I think that definitely can be a way that Matt looks to take this fight. I think that clinching against Chaos, sapping up those arms a little bit, getting him tired is not a bad idea. Came off of a 16-second counter right win against Jason Witt in his last fight, so definitely really impressive there. He's still pretty green, though. In all honesty, 8-2 will do that for you. Got knocked out by Jerome Featherstone, and you don't really like to see that. Jerome Featherstone, a 0-0 guy. So that is kind of my concern here. I've been back and forth on this one. I do think Semelsberger has more ways he can win this fight. Look to make it dirty, slow it down, get it into the second and third round when Chaos Williams is much less explosive. So I'm going to go with Matt Semelsberger very unconfidently with a decision win, but he might get starched. I mean, Chaos might just come out and get another first round starching, and then I'm like, what am I doing? So I'm hoping Matt can survive this. This is not one of my more confident picks here. 8-2 versus 11-1, but the 11-1 not really tested either, or 11-2 not really tested either. So, yeah, I think it's a toss-up for me personally. Plus 140 on Semelsberger. I'll take a shot on the dog.
Well, going into this, one of the biggest things you talk about the level of competition that these guys fought. I mean, Chaos Williams, he knocked out Alex Morono, and
Yep.
funny story about that. One of the guys that was actually on my team on Tough, Ricky, he's teammates with Alex, or he's been training with him forever, and Alex was the short notice fill-in for Cowboy. Cowboy came and trained with us one day. We were like, we're like, yo, who are you fighting? We know Diego's out. He's like, this guy named Alex Morono, and Ricky. I can't wait till Ricky's episodes, because Ricky is an absolute. He's
a character.
You're gonna love him. And he just freaked out. He was like, "Oh, Alex is my best." So, long story short, we're watching the fight, and bless Cowboy's heart. I was always rooting for Cowboy, but Alex, put him away in impressive fashion. So, just Chaos having that win, and just, and I didn't pick Semi the Jedi to win last time. Last time,
neither did I.
My heart was like, pick Semi the Jedi, and I was like, no, I'm going with the other guy. And this time, I'm like, do I want to pick against this guy again? And damn it, I'm picking against him again. I'm taking Chaos Williams by knockout, just because I know Semi will exchange punches with him. He's gonna throw early, and Chaos has shown to be devastating early. You know what I'm saying? He
needs to. He fights on clinch work. He needs to do that clinch work in the first round. He does not need to throw any strike. He needs to throw 0 strikes in the first round that aren't with his arm around Chaos Williams.
Dude, I mean, Chaos is so explosive and so dangerous. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at least you have to at least threaten something. I'm sure there's really high level strikers that can deal with him, but with what I've seen from my man Semi the Jedi, and he might make me look dumb again. Definitely.
No, I mean, you got Chaos Williams minus 175 favorite, and money continues to come in on him. This is one I'm not confident in. I don't blame you for. This is one I'm not surprised we're disagreeing on. So far, we got 3 disagreements in 4 fights.
Do we really? Yeah.
Did you pick Joaquin Silva or Ricky Glenn? You picked Ricky
Glenn. We both picked. Yeah.
We both picked Casey and we both picked Josh. So we're 2 out of 4. So 50-50 so far. All right, next fight.
I'm interested to see this one. This is going to
be a grappler's delight, in my opinion.
Yes.
Berna Jandiroba versus Kanato Murata. Jandiroba's Tapology pick. You hate to see it, but it is what it is. Kanato Murata is the first fight we'll be breaking down. Japan 12-1. This girl is such a little savage, and I mean little savage because she's 5'1". And 27 years old, 62-inch reach. You don't see reaches like that too often. Coming off of a very impressive decision win of Randa Marcos, although Randa Marcos at this point has lost to everybody. It seems like, in their mother. She is, I believe she's 10-11 and still in the UFC. So good for her agent.
Good for her. Or something. I don't know.
Management.
It's just one of those things where I'm just looking at it, I'm like, how, Sway? But I digress.
Yeah. She's what they call marketable in the business, I guess. Anyways, back to Murata. Had a really interesting win over Emily Ducote to get into the UFC. It was a split decision. It was one where she did get Emily down, but she was chilling in triangles, chilling in omoplatas, chilling in arm bars. She was just almost getting submitted throughout that fight. I think we talked about last week maybe how sometimes the person being active on the bottom can be winning. And then, in my opinion, Emily was winning a lot of that fight. So Kanako, definitely, I think if she chills in those positions, we have Verna. If she can get it to the ground, Verna's going to take advantage of that. But yeah, still 12-1, lost her. Her only loss was to Rin Nakai back in Ryzen, and it was in the 3rd round in 2016. Rin Nakai definitely could have been on some supplements for that fight too. When you watch it, she is absolutely beastly in that fight. So tough fight for Murata there for sure. And since then has gone on a run, has some Von Flue chokes, has some rear naked chokes, anaconda choke. Verna Jandiroba, 16-2, also a great grappler herself. The Brazilian product, 33 years old, right in the thick of that prime now. She's coming off a loss to Mackenzie Dern, the only girl in the division, in my opinion, who can out-grapple Verna, or who has shown to. Before that, Felice Herrig, really impressive armbar of her, and a rear naked choke of Mallory Martin in the second round after dominating the first round. Verna's just so powerful, man. She does have a close loss against Carla Esparza, but even in that fight, she got 3 takedowns on Carla Esparza. It was a really close grappling affair. Murata, I think, is just going to be a little too undersized here and not able to get the fight where she needs it. And I think Verna just spends a little more time on top.
Yeah, man. It's Verna's kind of like one of those chicks that's just like kind of looks scary, man. Like if I was a chick, I wouldn't want to fight a chick that looked like Verna. You know what I'm saying? She looks like she's gonna bust you up. And I agree. Like Kanako, watching her fight, you know, you said it already. This is a grappling affair. Both of these chicks, their bread and butter is grappling, and they're both very good at it. They have outstanding records for their divisions, and they've, you know, kind of if they can implement their game plan, they kind of like run through people. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm also with you. I like Kanako, but I think Verna, she's just a little bit bigger, stronger, and when you're talking about grappling, that's not something you want going the other person's way. If you're both grapplers, you don't want the other person being bigger and stronger, because in grappling, being bigger and stronger means more than being bigger and stronger does in striking. So with, you know, unless, you know, Kanako comes out with some serious like hands out of, you know,
yeah, I mean, if either one of these girls, yeah, definitely the stand-up. If either one of these girls has a stand-up evolution, they can take over this fight, because it's a grappler versus a grappler. Absolutely. Most likely they're going to be standing in front of each other.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you know, and grappler, you know, usually when it's grappler, it comes down to who can strike the best, because normally they neutralize each other's game. Yep. But if it comes down to straight up grappling, I think Verna wins it. You know, because like you said, she's fought some really great chicks. I mean, all of her losses are against. She lost to Mackenzie Dern by decision. She didn't even get tapped out by Mackenzie Dern. You know what I'm saying? We've seen Mackenzie Dern do some work on some really good females before. So, you know, this is a really interesting fight.
It definitely could be a sloppy kickboxing fight.
Definitely could be a sloppy kickboxing fight.
And that's where it's like, sure, you can take a shot at the dog, or you just think if it does go the grappling route, it's Verna. If it goes sloppy kickboxing, we don't know.
We have no idea.
Yeah.
But, you know, with the data that we have, I'm going Verna by decision. I mean, if she can submit Kanako, that'd be pretty badass. But, you know, I think they're both pretty tough. I think Verna just does a little bit more, uses her size a little bit more, and gets the decision.
Yeah, I mean, I'm nervous because this price feels like such a trap on Verna, so I am going to definitely hold off on really committing too much to it. Minus 130 on Verna just feels too good to be true. Plus 105 on Kanako. And then Brandon come in and heard Kanako's striking has been improving a lot, but that doesn't always transfer, to actual competition. But if your striking's improved a lot and you're facing the likes of Verna Jandiroba, that really could be the difference. Also, I'm watching Chris Camozzi give it his all against Cesar Ferreira right now. I have a plus 275 ticket on Chris Camozzi. So, Brandon, if you can just update me on your scorecard for that one.
I need to do the same. I need to do the same setup you're doing, because this week and last week, you're telling me how great these PFL fights are, and I'm like, damn, dude.
Yeah, luckily there's not too many, or unfortunately there's not too many more PFLs, but in the future we might figure out a way to work around and maybe schedule to not be on at the same time as PFL, especially because I want to watch these fights that I'm working hard to break down, for one, and for two, I expect hardcore MMA fans right now are watching the fights. So unless you're watching them without the commentary on, it's probably hard to be watching us right now completely. So we might adjust for future PFL dates, but I'm still figuring that all out. And you kind of got other shit on your plate. Final fight from the prelims here. I don't have too much to say about one of these guys. Alexa Kammer versus Nick Negromerano. The Romanian, 9-1, taking on 6-1 Alexa Kammer. Alexa Kammer, known for fighting out of strong style, so he's a teammate of Mr. Stipe Miocic. So that's definitely notable. One on the Contender Series. He did lose by getting out wrestled by William Knight, which we've gone on to see how William Knight's done in the UFC so far, and it's been a little bit troubling to see that for sure. Especially some of the takedowns William Knight got on Alexa Kammer. They weren't like big takedowns. They were kind of just getting him off balance and leaning on him, and he fell over. Just I really don't know how good Alexa Kammer is. He got a decision win of Justin Ledet, which, okay. He did flying knee and ground and pound Fabio Charant. That's a very good win. But, yeah, I mean, he should be able to look good in this fight, however. 25 years old, improving. But he's facing a guy, Nick Negromerano, who before getting into the UFC had maybe one of the more padded records I've seen. But he's still only 26 years old. He's been off for now almost over 2 years, nearly 2.5 years. He lost to Sarabek Safarov in his UFC debut. If you remember Safarov not too great of a guy, to be honest. And, not really disappeared after that. So, he had a fight. I don't really know what happened. I'm not sure where he was or how he what he was doing to improve during that time. But before that, did Kamosi just win? Just win?
Oh, shit.
Hold on. No, he didn't. He just dropped him. That's too bad. But I almost got that dog. But definitely, he got – sorry, to talk about Nick Negarano, he got – finishes by punches, mostly slams, but they're against guys who are 1-3, 0-0, 0-1, 2-1, 3-2, 12-41, 7-5, 2-5, 10-13. He faced an 8-2 Safarov and looked pretty frozen and lost in there. He definitely could come in. We saw Jarvis Danho a couple weeks ago. He had been off for, I believe, 4 years between his fights, and he came in and starched Jorgen De Castro. Another guy who came in off the Contender Series who never really looked that great after the Contender Series. So Alexa Kammer could definitely come in there and kind of get starched. I'm going to take Kammer, not bend it heavy at all at the price I'm seeing, though. Nick, we don't know a lot about him. He's a complete wild card, has a ton of finishes, could come in here and finish Alexa Kammer. For sure. I'll take Kammer for my official pick. I'm not putting $1 on him, though.
Dude, I mean, you look at it and you're like 6-1 versus 9-1. I mean, 9-1 just like looks better. Like 6-1, that's just kind of like, it just seems like a green record to be in the UFC. But I'm talking, I'm 5-1. I digress. But
he doesn't have 18 amateur fights or whatever you have. Also,
that's fair. But with that being said, I mean, it's like, my man Nick has fought straight up tomato cans his entire career, like straight up tomato cans. And so I am also going with Alexa Kamura. I mean, man, dude, I mean, this fight will be interesting. It's just hard for me. It's like you got 9 wins, on all of them. You got. That's the whole point when you're outside the UFC. It's like you want to like.
This really should be an LFA main event.
I agree with that. Because
and I love LFA.
And no, it's nothing against LFA, but that's the
level these guys are at. They're young. They're young in their careers. They're young in their ages. Like,
and they're both promising prospects. I mean, but they
Mhm.
still have, you know, stuff to prove before. Like you said, he did look kind of hesitant because, you know, when you're going from fighting straight up tomato cans to fighting the best fighters in the world, that's a big difference. You know, that's going to affect your confidence. So,
yeah, but Safarov is about as bad of the good fighters as they get.
yeah,
He was awful. Like, if you're gonna look like that's the guy you want to debut against, an 8-2 Safarov who hadn't faced much competition himself and isn't world class himself. I don't know, man. I honestly, if I'm making a bet, it would be on Nikolai here because the odds plus 205 on Nikolai here. We just don't know, and we don't know how good Alexa Camera is. He got out wrestled by William Knight. It's like we saw William Knight looked against Dong, you know, in his last fight. Looked awful. So, you know what? I'm going to switch right here and right now. Nikolai, I'm going to take Nikolai to get shot the world. First round KO.
Ooh, first round KO. All right, you're going all in. I like that.
Yep.
Going all in. And I guess we disagree again because I'm going to stick with Alexa just because. Honestly, there's just something in me. It's like, man, you fight that many tomato cans. I'm just like, I'm a little salty. I'm like, man, stop fighting tomato cans, bro. I mean, but if he comes out and if he does starch him, you know, more power to him. You know, maybe he knows something I don't know. But I'm going Alexa.
Yeah, it's that price has tricked me into it, Vegas. You got me at plus 205. I love those plus 200 dogs. Especially when they have very known finishing abilities and they're going against a guy. Somehow he has more experience than the guy he's facing at 9-1 has nearly double the experience. That's crazy.
And and it's funny because you've been normally you're just taking dogs left and right. You've been disciplined. This fight.
I couldn't hold off on this one. I took a dog to start out in Casey O'Neill, who I did not feel should be a dog, and I will stand by that.
I agree.
I'm looking, I'm really looking forward to watching that fight to see who comes on top. This is a dog for sure in Nikolai, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that Alexa Camera should be a minus 250 against many guys in the UFC. So that moves us on to the main card here, chugging along here at a nice little clip. We are going on to Diego Lima and Matt Brown, weirdest fight of the night, officially, right here. I don't know what they're really doing here with Matt Brown at this point in his career. Matt Brown, 40 and a half years old, taking on the only 31-year-old Diego Lima. I'm not going to lie. I thought Diego Lima was like 36. So right off the bat, I'm surprised Diego Lima is only 31. Matt Brown might be close to the end here. 22-18 record now. A lot of these fights he's been put away in as well. He is the immortal, but starting to really test that nickname for sure. Also fighting on strong style, but he's coming off a loss to Carlos Condit where Carlos Condit out-wrestled him. Like, just let that sink in. Carlos Condit has now out-wrestled someone in the UFC. Not only has he out-wrestled someone in the UFC, he's out-wrestled someone in the UFC in 2021. Whoever that is needs to seriously look at themselves and seriously take a step back. I just think that Matt Brown is kind of done. He did drop Miguel Baeza in that first round, but then he got dropped. And his body has taken a lot of beatings here. I do kind of agree. One solid body shot from Matt Brown, and he's done. And it is sad to say I also love the Immortal, but he's taken a beating, and at some point, Father Time catches up. Even in his win over Ben Saunders, who's a guy who is similar in age and amount of, mileage, he got dropped against Ben Saunders before dropping him. So he's taken a lot of shots, even in these wins. Those count too. Diego Lima, very hard hitter here. Has had a so-so UFC career. A much better second time around than the first time around. Has won 3 of 4. However, had a split decision win over Luke Jimmo. Had a split decision of Court McGee. He lost last time out pretty clearly to Bilal Muhammad. Yeah, this is. I mean, I'm gonna go Diego Lima. 31 years old, but Diego Lima has been put away by strikes. Let me see. One, two, three, four times. Four times. So definitely, there's a chin issue for me with Diego Lima. He's been put away by guys like Eddie Truck Gordon, Tim Means, Zhang Li, and Jason Jackson. I do think Matt Brown, if he lands a good shot very early, could put him away. But lately, Lima's looked like he's turned a corner. Definitely makes me nervous, just because he's been knocked out so many times here, and is Matt Brown's got to be Matt Brown's only path to victory. I don't think Matt Brown can imagine winning a decision at this point. But I'm going to take Diego Lima here. I think he puts him away. Really solid body kick at some point in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, dude, this is Diego Lima is obviously not like Matt Brown is a legend. Matt Brown is a legend, and that's coming as someone who is also someone who dips. I like to dip. Matt Brown's moment in The Ultimate Fighter is one of my favorite moments of all time when the guy puts the lemon juice in his dip, and he's like, bro, we're not friends like that, And then he knocks the guy out when they fight each other. It's just one of the all-time great moments in The Ultimate Fighter. Tough fighting, just in general. Don't mess with another man's tobacco, to quote Forrest Griffin.
Yes, sir.
But man, dude, Diego Lima is like one of those fighters that should be better than what he is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like in a lot of Diego Lima's fights, like I want Diego to win. I feel like he should win, and he just does like this past fight against freaking Muhammad. Like he just looked at him the whole time. And then his activity level was abysmal. And maybe I think it's it's just seeing Diego like let me down multiple times, because even when he was on The Ultimate Fighter the second time,
he lost in the finals both times.
And I was rooting for him both times.
Yep.
He seems like a really nice guy. He seems like a cool
Definitely.
guy. Yeah, I'm going. I just want Matt Brown to win. This is like my fan. Like, I'm taking off my MMA better hat, and I'm putting on my MMA fan hat. I want Matt Brown to win. I think Matt Brown's going to win by decision. And I just love Matt Brown. I think he's a legend. And
you pick Matt Brown.
I'm picking Matt Brown by decision. 100%.
Good Lord. Bet the decision on Matt Brown, because that's going to be a juicy price. Plus 140 on Matt Brown, minus 160 on Lima. I like the price on Lima here. I'm surprised it's that close odds-wise, frankly, with the durability of the 22 and 18. I'll say it again, 22 and 18. Matt Brown, 22 and 18. Out-wrestled by Carlos Condit in his last fight, Matt Brown. The Ultimate Fighter moment we're talking about is, I think, from like 14 years ago. But that's, it was still a great moment. All the best to Bryan on that pick, because, man, that is picking with your heart there. Never going to hate on that. But this is, I think, the most disagreements we've ever had on a card, and I thought this was going to be a normal card. On to the next fight here.
It's partly like how much I love Matt Brown, but it's also part of how many times Diego has let me down. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Diego's going to shoot on him. I think Diego's not going to let his hands go as much as he should, and I think Matt Brown is going to just outpoint him. I think that's just what I think. I think Matt's just.
No, that's totally fair. Totally fair. If you are going to bet Matt Brown by decision, it's a nice plus 375 price on that. So definitely not bad. Yeah. And we'll go over the score at the end here, Brandon. But I think that I have the edge after week one, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, you have a big edge after week one. I
think
start right being down.
Yeah, I'll put it in the comments after I go through and tally it up. I'll put it in the comments, but I think I got like 2 to 3 fight edge so far through week 1. Next fight here, Bruno Silva versus Wellington Turman, middleweight fight here, 16-4 versus 19-6. I'll be talking about Bruno Silva first, not the 135 Bruno Silva, 185 Bruno Silva, 31 years old, 6 foot tall, 185er out of Curitiba, Brazil, fighting out of Evolucion Thai MMA. He is currently on a 4-fight win streak. A couple of these fights, he was a huge underdog in Russia. He was a plus 530 underdog when he cashed and knocked out Alexander Storm Shlemenko, the Bellator legend. He knocked him out in the first round as a plus 550 underdog. And then he got round 4 knockout of 11-0 Artem Frolov, which he was a plus 475 underdog. So 2 big dogs on Russian guys in M1. Huge wins for me for Bruno Silva. Definitely has been off for a little while, though. That was in November of 2018. He was scheduled to debut against Iran Win, and then he pissed hot. USADA caught him with the juice. He had a muscle masser in his urine, claimed it was a tainted supplement, but Bruno Silva looked like he was made out of a brick shithouse, and he's been out. So we haven't seen USADA, post-USADA Bruno Silva. If he looks like the pre-USADA Bruno Silva, then I think he knocks out Wellington Turman. Wellington Turman got knocked out by Andrew Sanchez in his last fight. Andrew Sanchez, not known for his feet. Cash that plus 275 dog and Chris Camozzi. Thank you very much. Just beat Cesar Ferreira. If you're not listening to PFL breakdowns, I don't know why you're throwing away free money. Again, Chris Camozzi plus 275. I was on that shit. Nailed it. Thank you very much. Didn't make the playoffs still, but he cashed for me one more time. I had a good feeling about it. Feels good to be right. Wellington Turman. I don't really know what to think about this guy. He's 16-4. He's only 24 years old, still very young. Looks very green in there, however. Dominated with kind of muscling his opponent to the ground against Marcus Perez. Used his wrestling big time in that fight. But, really looked like he muscles his opponent down. When he isn't able to get that, Carl Roberson was able to win a lot of the grappling exchanges. Carl Roberson winning grappling exchanges is definitely kind of a red flag for me. When Wellington didn't dominate the wrestling, he seemed to struggle against Andrew Sanchez as well, leading to Andrew Sanchez knocking him out in the first round. I just think that on the feet, Bruno Silva has much more stopping power and can really kind of, if he avoids the takedowns, which I believe he can, and looks somewhat the same as he did pre-USADA, getting caught for roids, then I like Silva here to get a finish. Otherwise, I could see Turman making this kind of ugly, but I just don't see him being able to piece together the win here. So I'll take Silva minus 140 favorite, but I'll take him to get the first or second round KO.
Yeah, man. I mean, if I've learned one thing since doing these breakdowns, is not to fall in love with someone's fall in love with someone's resume outside the UFC, because I've watched some guys' stuff and I'm like, wow, dude, like this looks awesome, and then I pick them and then they lose. But this one, I'm taking Bruno anyways. I don't care. You knock out Alexander Shlemenko. I don't care how old he is. Like, that's impressive to me. You know what I'm saying?
Artem Frolov too, man. Artem Frolov is a legit win too, especially because in that fight he got in the fourth round, and every time that that Bruno was on top for more than 20 seconds, the ref stood him up because it was in Russia, and Frolov was laying on top of him for 2 minutes, and the refs had no problem. So.
Dude.
Yeah, Silva has been submitted 5 times. That's definitely where Wellington has to get it. I just don't rate Wellington's grappling that high, especially when you're losing grappling exchanges to Carl Roberson.
Dude, I mean, and nothing against Carl. But yeah, no, and it's just Carl hasn't looked amazing in his last couple fights.
Carl
He seems
Roberson was a
more.
former kickboxer, not a former Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu player.
Yeah, and I mean, he just doesn't seem like he seems more like a front runner to me. Anytime someone's got the nickname the Prodigy, they're used to like running through people. So when they can't like absolutely dominate someone, it seems to kind of have like a backfire effect. And Bruno just seems like an absolute destroyer of worlds. You know what I'm saying? He looks like one of those guys he's got a ton of experience outside the UFC, and he's ready to come right into the UFC and make a statement right off the bat. And I think I'm with you. I see a finish by Bruno by knockout. Which round? I mean, because his power stays, like I said. I mean, he got a knockout in round 4. That's very impressive to get a finish in round
really
4.
Good guy in Frolov. Frolov's legit.
Absolutely. And so I'm gonna take Bruno finish round 3. I think Wellington, he's gonna give him a good fight. He's gonna come out and try to win, but I think Bruno is. Once again, I try not to fall in love with these guys with the stuff they've done outside the UFC, but Bruno's a fucking cool customer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we can try not to fall in love, but we still do.
It's
then we
still
get our heart
fall
broken.
in love every time, and then
every time we say it's the last time. I said it the last time that this is the last time.
They pull us right back in. I
said the last time that this was the last time. Don't make it over. Because this is the last time. I'm going to do it one more time. Bruno Silva, KO for both of us. We're back agreeing here. We're agreeing on probably the only fights we'll get wrong tonight are the ones we agree on. Rest in peace to Bruno. This next fight is a wild, I think going to be a wild fight here. Julian Juicy J. Arosa making the most of that return to the UFC. Return of the juice. Taking on Sung Woo Choi. 9-3 versus 25-8. So right away, we got 12 fights versus 33 MMA fights. 12 fights versus 33. That is a lot of experience disadvantage for Sung Woo Choi. The 28-year-old out of South Korea, mostly known for his stand-up so far. Coming off that win of Yusuf Salal, looked really good there. Had better takedown defense than we've seen in any of his fights previous. Keeping on the feet, establishing that distance, using the movement, looked really good in that fight. That was back in February of 2021. Big time win though for Yusuf or for Sung Woo Choi. Second win, beat Suman Mokhtarian. Also, Suman Mokhtarian is garbage. He got taken down and dominated against Movdar Evloev, who just about everybody is, and but also Gavin Tucker really exploited that takedown defense also. But it seemed like after that, he really corrected that, but it was also against Suman Mokhtarian. But Yusuf Zalal as well, who I rate very highly. Julian Juicy J coming off of 2 just impressive-ass wins. The flying knee finish of Nate Landwehr in the last fight, where he just came out and he was striking so free, so powerfully, and just really looks to have a confidence in himself. Loves getting into those chaotic wars where his opponent leaves their neck out and he can kind of snatch it up with those darces like he did against Sean Woodson. In that fight, he was a plus 375 dog. He's locking up chokes against guys like AJ Bryant. He did lose 3 straight to Devontae Smith, Grant Dawson, and Julio Arce, but I rate all those guys very, very highly. Those are very good guys. It's a little rough run. Got out of the UFC, got back into it, earned his way back. I really like Sung Woo Choi. Very, very technical. Has a much straighter punches, better kickboxer. But Sung Woo has been put away a couple times in his 12 fights. He's got 3 losses and 1 by rear naked choke to Gavin Tucker. He also has 1 by first round knockout to Jae Won Kim, a 5-2 guy. So I'm going to go with Juicy J here, man. 33 fights to 12 fights, and Juicy J is in. He's figured it out. He's kind of doing to much better extreme what The fellow 31-year-old Diego Lima hasn't quite done. It seems like Julian has started to figure it out here. Only 31 years old. I don't think he's shot at all. Two long, lengthy 155ers here. I just think Julian's going to make this more of a firefight and mix up that grappling. And I think he's going to lock up a Darce or a Anaconda type of choke in the second or third round after kind of a war. But this is going to be close. The odds say so as well. Give me the dog Julian Erosa plus 125.
Is Julian Erosa really the dog in this?
Yup.
Dude, that's kind of crazy. I mean, because like you said, I mean, it's like, what is going against him? I mean,
I don't know.
I mean,
the technical edge, but that's against just about everybody with Julian. Julian doesn't win technical battles.
Yeah, I mean, Julian's bigger. He's bigger. I mean, in his last two fights, he's looked really impressive in his last two fights. I think it's one of those things. I mean, he's been around for a long time, and sometimes it really takes you a while to figure out. There's a difference between winning at the highest level and figuring out how to finish. You got to kind of figure those things out at every level, how to win, and then you.
That's why we have so much YouTube tape on you.
Yes, absolutely. You can see me transition from the point where it's like, all right, this is how you win, this is how you finish people. There's a big difference, where you just trying to win, and then you learn how to get to that next step, and you start dominating people. And not saying that Julian's going to become a world beater, but I think in this fight, he knows more about himself than Wu Choi knows about himself. And
yes, I agree.
I don't know if I could see him getting the finish. I don't know if he necessarily gets the finish. I'm going to pick him by finish because he's hot right now and he's finishing people, and he's fun to watch. Nothing against Wu Choi. I think he's on a 2-fight win streak. Talented guy. I think he still just has some things to figure out about himself, but I think Julian Rosa. I could see him getting this done. I'm gonna give him the finish in the second round.
Yep, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. And I think 33 fights to 12 fights, and that is
big, man.
You don't see that a lot. And then the underdog is the guy with 33 fights they're the same. He's 31 years old. I mean, this is. The freeness and the confidence we saw in Julian Erosa, I've never seen that version of him against Nate Landwehr that we saw. And I get that was only a minute, but he wasn't going anywhere and he wasn't gassing himself out. It was a really easy free knee he threw. I think he makes this chaotic, and I just think he gets it eventually into a grappling area. And Brandon talks about the interview with Brandon Fitzgerald where Rosa talked about his up and downs in the sport, started crying. Erosa very aware in his second go around here of the value of being in the UFC and how quickly it can all go away. He's training out of Extreme Couture along with Casey O'Neill and Dan Ige with Erica Nixick. So, I mean, I think that Extreme Couture is one of the hottest camps throughout the sport right now. And this is at the Apex also. I think that's an advantage for Erosa. I love the dog here, and we agree here. So, we're going to move on here. We're 3 from the top, I believe. Making a very good clip here, as always. Thank you all again for joining me. And, Brian, we're always going to be here breaking down these fights every single Wednesday or Thursday. We'll figure it out moving forward. If there's a PFL, we might adjust the days. But either way, we're always going to be here. Next fight is a rematch. Marlon Vera versus Davey Grant. 18-7-1 Marlon Vera taking on Davey Grant, 11-4. Dangerous Davey Grant. Another guy who is figuring out late here, the 35-year-old. Shout out to, never too late. 11-4. Has had a ton of injuries that have kept him from really gaining momentum prior to this. But 35-year-old now on a 3-fight win streak. Had a split over Gregory Popov where he really didn't look great, honestly. And so after that fight, I didn't want to, but I picked Martin Day. But we talked about how Martin Day is one of these guys who's really seemed to struggle with performing in the UFC. He's now 0-4 in the UFC. Martin Day did drop Davy Grant in that fight. But Davy Grant came back and dropped him and put him away with a left hook in the third round and ended it. So, I mean, he beat him. And then Jonathan Martinez, super impressive performance by Martin Day. His volume was on point. Jonathan Martinez was a bigger guy with more takedown ability and everything. Looked like everything was working against Davy, and Davy just lit him up throughout that fight and put him away. So Davy's had 2 knockouts in his career, and they've come in the last 2 fights. However, 3 of his losses in the UFC all came by submission. And, he did win a decision over Marlon Vera early on in Marlon Vera's career. He's 9-2-1, 22 years old. Marlon Vera definitely has matured a lot since that fight. And so definitely a different kind of fighter now. After those losses, he definitely really seemed to correct things when started getting finishes, head kicks, arm bars, lost to John Lineker and Douglas Andrade. However, neither guy was able to finish Vera, and both guys are bona fide finishers, super tough strikers. Then went on a really nice finishing streak. Finished 5 straight fights to get into a fight against Yadong Song, which I think he won, but lost the decision. Then finished Sean O'Malley and faced Jose Aldo in his last fight out. And Jose Aldo, I had to dig really deep. Vera won the second round. Third round was extremely close, and Vera ended up getting backpacked by Aldo. It's the first time I've seen Aldo go to his jiu-jitsu and wrestling in a long time, but Aldo wanted nothing to do with the leg kicks and stand-up of Vera, and that tells me quite a bit here. I think Vera learned a lot from their first matchup. I like Vera here to get a submission win, I think, in round number 2.
Yeah, man. I mean, Marlon Vera, he's kind of like the Jorge Masvidal of the 35 division, man. I mean, he's one of those people where even when he loses decision, I mean, people are like, I don't think he really lost that decision. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
David Grant, super solid fighter. He's been around for a long time. He's beaten Marlon before, like all those things you said already, but I think Marlon has elevated himself to a new level since that fight.
For sure.
He's more confident in himself right now. I think he gets it done by decision in this fight. I don't see him stopping Davey.
Okay.
Davey's a tough guy. And this once again, I've picked against Davey before, and it didn't work out for me. And then maybe after this, Davey wins this fight because I can 100% see him winning this fight. Then I'll be like, I gotta pick Davey next time. But I think, Marlon, even though he's 1-2 in his last 3 fights, like you said, most people thought he beat Song in that fight.
Yeah,
majority of people thought he won that fight. Jose, that was another really close fight. Jose is a legend. You know what I'm saying? And Davey is not a Jose Aldo. So Marlon Vera gets it done by decision.
Okay.
But he gets it done by decision.
Yeah, no problem. And, I apologize for the technical difficulties a little bit. Bryan is a warrior and working on his end with his phone as we figure out his laptop and everything. So apologize if things got a little harder here or there, but, basically reiterating what I said to a certain extent, going from Jose Aldo to Davy Grant, definitely several steps down for Marlon Vera here. Good chance for him to get back on track, avenge an early loss at 22 years old in the UFC to Davy Grant. -200 favorite for Vera. Money has been coming in on Davy Grant, so go ahead, keep bringing the money in. I'll get a lower price on Vera. I like Vera. Vera's such a finisher that it's always tough for me not to pick him to win by finish. And Davy Grant being submitted 3 times, I see the hole there for a 4th submission. I'm going to go for it. So, speaking of submissions, brings us to our co-main event of the evening between Alexei Oleinik and Sergey Spivak. Sergey Spivak getting the opportunity against the nearly 44-year-old Alexei Oleinik, the Ezekiel choke master himself, taking on the polar bear, Sergey Spivak, 26 years old, 6'3", 78-inch reach versus the 80-inch reach of Alexei Oleinik at 6'2". Sergey Spivak is coming off of a pretty impressive ground and pound win of Jared Vanderaa. Really the first time in Spivak's UFC career where we've really seen what I think he was pitched prior to that, really using good pressure, good top control, good ground and pound. But it was against Jared Vanderaa. So, I mean, Jared Vanderaa has looked like straight garbage so far in the UFC. I haven't been too impressed. The majority win of Carlos Felipe definitely took over after a bad first round against Carlos Felipe and ended up winning that. So, definitely impressed. His losses are to Walt Harris, super fast and, strong guy, beat him in 50 seconds. That's what Walt Harris will do at times. And then Marcin Tybura, very good up-and-coming heavyweight, Polish heavyweight, very good as well. Alexei Oleinik, he's been around. He's done it all. We've seen all the chokes. We've seen all the subs, but it's just he's almost 44 years old, and I'm just a little bit concerned with what his game plan will be against the much younger, fresher, forward-moving polar bear, Sergey Spivak. Oleinik is on a 2-fight losing streak. He's lost 5 of 7. He did have a split win over Verdum where he threw 130 significant strikes, I think. Definitely was one of his more impressive performances on the feet. And then he armbarred Maurice Green. Besides that, lost to Walt Harris, lost to Derek Lewis, lost to Chris Stakis. Just seems like he's not able to take the damage, but that's against much harder hitters. I don't know. I mean, 75 fights for Oleinik. The mileage at some point adds up. He's 44. I'll take the polar bear here to get a decision win, I guess. I'm not going to take him to get anything else. I think he's able to avoid those scarf chokes and the different chokes, and I'll take the polar bear for a decision, but don't like the price at all. Minus 210 on Spivak, plus 175 on Oleinik, but I can't bet Oleinik here.
Yeah, man. I mean, Alexei, but dude, that's so many fights to have. I wish I could have that many fights one day.
No, you don't.
Crazy, man.
That's absurd.
It is absurd, dude. It's crazy, dude. I can't imagine having that. I highly doubt I'll be able to reach that fight count. But
you're gonna have to learn that Ezekiel choke so you can get out some of these fights real quick.
Dude, I mean, Alexei, he's the king of the old man tricks, dude. Like, he's got all the old man tricks. And if I'm fighting at that age, you better believe I'm going to have all the old man tricks. But, dude, Sergey, I mean, we haven't seen him against the best guys, but I do think Alexei, he's on the other side of the hill. He's turned in some great performances, and he is acting as the stepping stone right now. He is the gatekeeper right now.
Yep.
Sergey, he's hot. You know what I'm saying? He's a big prospect. I think Sergey gets it done. I think this is I don't know if I should do it, but I'm taking Sergey by finish. I'm taking Sergey by finish.
What kind of finish?
You said what?
What kind of finish? Are you guys saying submission?
Oh, man.
Because the submission prop is plus 1,100. Are you guys pick him to submit Oleinik? Go ahead. What's your pick?
My pick. Are you ready for this, Aaron the dog? And, if this happens, I want this to go on record for everyone to remember. And if this doesn't happen, I want everyone to forget this. I am picking Sergey to submit the submission legend.
Oh, that's spicy.
That's spicy, man. I don't know. I almost can't handle the heat, but man,
yikes! Wow. All right.
And normally I go the other way. Normally I prefer the experience over the youth, but I really do. I think the problem with Alexei is, he is at the point where he is kind of relying on old man tricks, and I think people have kind of figured his game out. That's the biggest thing. I think people have kind of figured out what to kind of watch out for. They say you can't teach old dogs new tricks. I'm sure you can teach my man Olenek some new tricks, but the amount of new tricks he can learn versus my boy Sergey, he's still, relatively young in his career. I think, it's going to be the young buck versus this might be a passing of the torch type of fight. And,
like Muniz and Jacare.
Yeah.
If he Ezekiel chokes Olenek, I might have to buy a polar bear shirt.
Holy cow, dude! I would be.
If he does that, the polar bear and Pooh Bear need to train together. If he does that,
dude, I'll hit him up. I'll be like, "What's up, bro? What's happening?"
He'll be getting hit up by a lot of people.
100%.
Plus 1,100 for the submission. I might take a little sprinkle at that, just for the pure thrill of betting that against Olenek. That would be a sweat. But we're on to the main event here, Korean Zombie versus Dan Ige. Thank you all again for joining us. We will be here every week breaking down the fights. 50K Dan Ige versus Korean Zombie. Really solid fight, really solid main event, 15-3 Dan Ige. I'll be breaking down first here. Another Extreme Couture product, 29 years old. 5'7", though, 71-inch reach, so definitely a little guy. For 145, coming off a really impressive 22-second win of Gavin Tucker. That was after a 5-round loss against Calvin Kattar, where I think he learned a lot. He only won 1 round in that but it was against Calvin Kattar. Went the full 5 rounds, didn't end up wilting, didn't give up. Before that, had a win over Edson Barbosa. It was a close one, but definitely an impressive win. Dan Ige looks to be starting to really piece it all together at 27 years old. He does look like he's entering that prime really well. And he looks to have some of the fastest, crispest hands in the division. And when they land, they seem to land really hard. The 22-second knockout of Gavin Tucker. Gavin Tucker blocked the first 2 punches, and the third got through and flatlined him. So super impressive finish, but it was in 22 seconds. So we haven't quite seen completely yet. He's got another 5-round fight here against the Korean Zombie, however. Korean Zombie has been looking for a 3-round fight for a while, but can't get one. Just too big of fights. Also 5'7", 34 years old, out of South Korea. Had a few years he had to take off due to military service. But since coming back, he's gone 3-2 since coming back. Has a win over Bermudez, Moicano, and Edgar, though. Those are his wins, and they're all in the first round. They're decent, but all those guys have durability issues to them for sure. And after he gets out of the first round, Zombie's lost. I get against Yair Rodriguez, he was probably winning 4 of those rounds before that miracle reverse elbow thing they landed in the last 3 seconds. But, definitely you take all that damage with you those 5 rounds, and then against Ortega beat the brakes off of the Korean Zombie for 5 rounds, took him down at will also, but on the feet alone, it was definitely pretty rough. Korean Zombie, 3rd most bonus awards in UFC history, 2nd most finishes. Flyweight division, 4th most KOs, 14 of 16 finishes, and 10 of 16 coming in the first round. I like Ige here. I like him in a 5-round fight here to really be able to mix it up, use that wrestling on the feet. I think it's closer than a lot of people will give Ige credit for. I just think Ige's piecing together 27 versus 24. A little more rhythm for Ige. 50K Ige may not be getting 50K in this fight because it might not be the most entertaining 5 rounds, but I think he dominates it. Pillar to post for 5 rounds, gets the takedowns when he needs them, and on the feet can hang in there too. Ige's gotten better and better. Zombie, I think, is on the way down.
Yeah, man. I mean, to me, this is such a fun fight. I love this main event, man. Because as well as we're gonna make picks. We're gonna make our picks, but who knows what's gonna happen? This is really one of those fights where it's you have so much data to go off of, and you still really don't know what's gonna happen.
Definitely.
I'm picking Zombie. I'm picking Zombie just because, and I mean, he's fought some killers too, and he's turned in some great fights too. Just he hasn't fought the people at the same caliber that the Zombie has fought. The Zombie has fought at. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
He's fought Dustin Poirier.
Dude, Zombie. I mean, when you look at his actual record in the UFC, once he hit the UFC, his record is outstanding. You know what I'm saying? He's an absolute finisher, and the people he's lost to are the guys at the top of the division. So, and I do think he's kind of on the other end of his career. I mean, he's fought in some absolute wars, and I mean that's why people love him, dude. I mean, Zombie. His head movement is almost abysmal, and he still stays right in people's face. But on one hand, I'm not. This is one of those fights where I'm not mad at who wins because Dan Ige wins. He's younger. You know what I'm saying? He has a little bit more. It's easier to sell him fighting top guys right now just because he's newer on the scene as opposed to the Korean Zombie. But this fight, I got Korean Zombie. I got him by decision because Dan Ige is tough as a mug.
I mean, yeah, this is super closely priced. -115 for Ige or -105 to -110 for Korean Zombie. Pretty much a straight pick 'em. I was expecting this to be a more predictable card tonight. And we have found out tonight from these picks that not so much. Let's just go ahead and go through them one more time, and I'll keep track of our disagreements also. And I will be keeping track of the score as well. We both have Casey O'Neill in the opener. So that's good. We, to start on agreement, like always good. Then we got our first disagreement, Joaquin Silva. On my side, you got Ricky Glenn. We both got Josh Parisian, correct? Yep. So, and then we're on the opposite sides here. I got Matt Semi the Jedi. You've got Chaos Williams.
I got Chaos. Yes, sir.
Yep. So that's 2. Verna Jandaroba versus Murata. I got Verna.
I also have Verna in that one.
All right. Next one, Alexa Cameron versus Nick Negermanu. I got Negermanu.
And that's big because you made the switch. We were on the same side with Alexa.
I know.
I still got Alexa though.
We got 3, Diego Lima versus Matt Brown. I got Diego Lima.
I got Matt Brown, man, the legend, the immortal.
Woo! That's 4. Bruno Silva versus Wellington Turman. We both got Bruno Silva. So rest in peace to Bruno Silva. Julian Arosa versus Sangwoo Choi. We both got Julian Arosa. Right?
Yeah.
So we're doing good. Yeah. Then we both got Marlon Vera over Davey Grant. We're agreeing. We're killing it here. And then we both got Sergey Spivak versus Alexei Oleinik. So we got a good little run here on the main card. And then we got to end with our 5th disagreement in 12 fights. 5 disagreements in 12 fights. You've got the Korean Zombie. I've got Dan Ige. So
let's go.
Yeah, I just think this is going to be a really interesting card. A little more now. My 3 pick lead might be eliminated. You might be up 2 if you get the clean sweep. But we'll see. But Brian, definitely keep checking him out on The Ultimate Fighter. His fight is getting closer. It's not getting further away, whenever that will be. But yeah, definitely check it out on ESPN Plus at 9 o'clock every Tuesday night. We'll probably be joined by some Team Volk members at some point. Next week we will be back with, I believe, a Bellator as well as the UFC. I just think that I just thank everybody who's joined me from the beginning so far on this channel. It's my 2nd week full as the new independent channel, and it's been great getting people like Hector in here. Obviously, Bunny is always there behind the scenes and in front of the scenes when she can be. And Brian making the time out. He's been grinding, still training and everything, working towards whoever's next. And still making time to come on here. And Brandon, obviously, thank you for joining throughout the fights here and giving the stuff as well. And Yeah, I'm just gonna highlight this. Hector, good call. Hector saying to me, good call on Kamosi, and followed me on Psy too. That was a plus 140 dog I hit and a plus 275 dog I hit. I got some play money for this weekend now. So yeah, definitely gonna be fun. And for Aaron the dog, for Bryan Pooh Bear Battle, anything else you gotta say before we take off, my brother? He's all muted.
Not too much, just like you said. Check me out on the Ultimate Fighter. We haven't got to my fight yet, but you know, it's each episode is getting better. You're getting to know the fighters better. You're starting to get to know the coaches better. So it's gaining momentum with each episode. So keep watching. Tune in. I'm obviously a little biased. I love the show. But yeah, man, keep tuning into Ultimate Fighter. Come back next week for another UFC fight card breakdown, all the other breakdowns that happen on Aaron's channel, man. You know what I'm saying? We're giving away money over here. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to make the fights. We're going to tell you how it happens. So, yeah.
Yes, sir. That's what we do. Couldn't say it better myself. Thank you so much, Brian. But yeah, for Bryan Pooh Bear, for Aaron the dog, we're out until next week. We'll see you next Thursday, breaking down the UFC on here. Keep taking care of each other out there and make that money. Peace out, everybody. Thank you.